It is a melancholy object to those who walk through the great town or travel into the country and see the streets and roads and cabin doors crowded with beggars of female sex. My first concern is, why are they all female? If there's lots of children, there has to be male too. And if there's infants especially, I know he says that there are many infants that the mothers have to take care of. Well, there has to be men for that too. And then also, he says the great town that they travel in, they'll see these crowded streets of beggars, but I'm sure the whole country is not like this. But maybe. These mothers, instead of working for their honest livelihood, are forced to employ all their time in strolling begging substances for their helpless infants, who they grow up either turn into thieves for want of work, or they leave their dear native country to fight for their perpetrator in Spain, or sell themselves to Barbados. I think it is agreeable upon all parties that the prodigals and numbers of these children are arms on the backs or at the heel of their mothers, and frequently of their fathers, is present till political at the state of the kingdom, and for great additional grievance. And therefore whoever could find a fair, cheap, and easy method of making these children sound and useful members of the commonwealth would deserve so of the public as to have his statue set up for the preserver of the nation. Okay, do they all deserve to have their statue set up? Okay. But my intention is very far from being confined to provide only for the children of the professed beggars. So his intention is to provide for the children isn't only to provide for the children of the beggars, it's for a greater extent, and should take a whole number of infants at a certain age who are born of their parents, is in effect as little able to support them, and at those who demand our charity in the streets. Do they demand their charity in the streets? Just because they're begging doesn't mean they're demanding. They're begging, not demanding. I would feel like that's a different definition. But as to my own part, having turned my thoughts for many years upon this important subject, and maturely weighed the several schemes of our projectors, I have always found them grossly mistaken in their computation. Is it true that a child dropped from its dam may be supported by her milk for a whole year with little to other nourishment? At most not above the value of 2 shillings, but the mother may certainly get value in scraps of her lawful occupation of begging is exactly at 1 year old, and I propose to provide for them in such manner. I don't know, I feel like children, once they begin to be about 6 or 7 months, is when they start to need other kind of nourishment. They can't live off of milk for a whole year. They could, I'm sure, but it wouldn't be very healthy for them. They have to have other kind of substances at the start of 6 months or so, right? Where am I? Which the mother may certainly get or the value of scraps by her lawful occupation of beggars. Okay, I guess by begging, that's where she gets the rest of it, and is exactly at 1 year old when I provide for them in such manner, instead being charged upon their parents or the parish of wanting food and remnant for the rest of their lives. They shall be, on the contrary, contribute to the feeding and partially the clothing of many thousands. There's likely another great advantage in my scheme, that it will prevent those voluntarily abortions, that horrid practice of women murdering their children. Also frequently among us sacrificing the poor innocent babies. Okay, so I don't know, I feel like him name calling the children by saying, bastard children, I feel like that is just as horrid as, if he was going to say that women are murdering their children and that they are doing abortion and they're sacrificing these poor innocent babies, how can he go out and name call the babies at the same time? I feel like that's kind of mixed emotions, and his intentions are kind of false.